Hey everyone, it's Justine, welcome, and today we are going to be talking about the inexpensive tools and supplies that I think are really great to have in your craft room. So whether you're a beginner and you want to know what to stock up on, or whether you're seasoned and you just want to see, hey, do I have all these things? Have I tried them out? This video is for you. All right, so before we get started, you're gonna notice that a lot of the supplies that I'm using in today's video are very inexpensive. So a few dollars, under $5, under 10 max. However, there are gonna be a few supplies in this video where I calculate inexpensive by a per use type of thing. Now that's how I take the value in my craft supplies often. So for example, if I take a stamp here and I've used that stamp a total of one time and that stamp cost me $24.99, then I paid $24.99 to use that stamp one time. Whereas if I grab a stamp that I've used 20 times and I paid $24.99, well, I guess you can do the math. This is a per use cost, and this is how I determine the value of the supplies in my craft room. And this is how I determine the value of a lot of things in my life, for example, like clothing or kitchen supplies. So let's dive into all the supplies I've chosen for today's video. Now, if there's one thing that has improved a lot over the years, it's blending tools. Now, if you're a beginner, using something like makeup brushes will work as a blending tool. Then came the original ink blending tool from Ranger, and an improved upon version is this scrapbook.com tool. So what's nice about this is you don't have to go out and buy new wooden handles, but these dome foam pads are amazing. These work with the Ranger ones, these work with the scrapbook.com ones, but having a domed edge really gets you into the habit of not creating harsh lines. It makes ink blending really amazing. And the nice thing is you technically only need one, and you can grab yourself a big refill kit because they come right off, they're made of Velcro, and you can put a new one on. Now, of course, blending brushes have come onto the market lately. There's a lot of different kinds, from the life-changing brushes from Picket Fence were kind of the original ones. Then Tailored Expressions did some amazing ones in colors, so you can really see, okay, all my yellow inks, I can use a yellow brush, all my orange, but these can be quite expensive as well. And I find you get really great results with this one, although if you do find yourself blender challenged, I do recommend grabbing some of these because these do really eliminate the harsh lines. Right, the next thing in my collection are things like sequins and jewels. Now these can also be quite expensive, so it's another type of per use type thing. So I personally invest in two types of sequins. Now one of them is the Nuvo Tonic sequins. They come in a big jar and they're quite inexpensive. These could be the equivalent to the ones you find at a dollar store or something like that. Now, I don't like to use these personally when I add 1 or 2 or 3 sequins on the front of a card because I find the ones from Pretty Pink Posh and a lot of companies that are out there to be a little bit of a better quality and a little bit easier to apply. So how do I describe the difference? Well, first of all, I paid $4 for this pack, or 5, and I use these for the card fronts. So that means I'm using 1, 2, 3 at a time. I don't even know in my lifetime if I'm going to finish off this pack. So a per use value I find really good. However, if I'm making a shaker card and I'm pouring a ton of them in there, then I'm more than likely going to go for my ones in my big bottles that are a little inexpensive that you're not going to see every detail of course. So that's where these come in handy as well. And again, a per use, of course I'm going to be using more of these, so it's going to run out quicker, is similar, I find, to the little bit slightly more expensive ones. Now, washi tape. It's one of those things you either love it or you hate it. Now, I find washi tape in the planner world to be the god of tools and supplies. For in the card making world, I find you get a love or hate for washi tape. People love to buy it, they never really use it. Now, I use washi tape on a semi-regular basis for a few different things. First of all, you usually get a ton of it, and I generally don't need about 100 million meters of lemon washi tape. However, what I can use this for, I can use it on a project. I can create patterned paper with it. I can create dies with it. I can seal my envelopes. If you ever get a letter from me in the mail, usually it's sealed with some washi tape. And of course, as all things are, there are a variety of qualities of washi tape. And again, you have to kind of determine for yourself, how often do I use it and what is it that's really important for me. The design, the quality of the stickiness, how often it's going to hold. If I'm creating a scrapbook, for example, I want that to hold. I want it to be good quality washi tape, or I might reinforce it even with a little bit of glue. But for things like sealing up a letter, of course it's already sealed with that gross thing that you lick, but you know, that's something that I could use that for sure. Another thing that costs only a few dollars and the per use goes a long way are Nuvo drops. Don't forget my little tip on sticking it in your armpit or maybe even into your bra. That actually warms up the Nuvo drops and there's a less chance of you getting peaks. So this is really great to have. Now, of course, you don't need every color of the rainbow. My personal recommendations would be black, white, and gold because they kind of go with everything. And don't forget that when you're using these, 48 hours for them to actually dry completely, that they don't flatten out. But overall, my per use, I'm not even sure if I've used an entire bottle yet, is really high, and I think they're really great for adding embellishments and a lot cheaper than buying those pre-made enamel dots. Now moving on to adhesive. Now adhesive to me is one of those things that I hate buying. It's almost like when you have to buy yourself new socks and underwear and you'd rather buy yourself a pretty dress. And that's how I feel about adhesive and cardstock. It's kind of one of those basic disposable supplies that you have to invest in now and again, but it doesn't really turn out to be a lot of fun at the end of the day, like something like stamps or other types of things. Now, again, a per use, I always calculate my adhesive use. So me personally, I know not everybody's a liquid glue fan, but I really only use liquid glue. I use Nuvo Deluxe adhesive. It's about $5, I believe, a bottle, but it goes a long way. Remember, when you're card making, you don't need a ton of glue. If you ever watch my videos, you'll see I apply glue generally everywhere, but a super light amount. That creates less of a wave in your cardstock. If you're getting that, cardstock might not be a decent quality or you're using too much glue, and I'm gonna bet it's probably you're using too much glue. So this goes a long way. I go through maybe 2 to 3 bottles a year and all of you know how much I card make. The other thing that I like to use, again, when it's necessary, because double-sided adhesive can also be a little bit on the pricier side. I like mine from scrapbook.com. It's often on sale and it comes in a variety of sizes from 1/8 of an inch to 6 inches wide. And this goes a long way as well because I generally use this for things like interactive cards or something where I need an extremely strong hold. I don't use it to apply everything to my cards because that would be too expensive and I'd go through this stuff like crazy. And the same thing goes for tape runner. Now, I very rarely use tape runner. 1, because it's a lot of plastic waste. And 2, I always find I craft 2-3 times and I already need a new one. So again, my liquid glue goes a lot longer than tape runner. Now, a lot of people like the convenience of tape runner, and that's okay. It's always a personal choice. Don't forget, if you have grabbed yourself some double-sided adhesive, you can create some amazing stripes on your cards by covering the double-sided adhesive with some cool foil or some embossing powder and heat embossing it. So you can get some use out of foil without requiring a laminator or foiling tool. You can still use foil if you just apply it with some double-sided adhesive. If you have a large, wide double-sided adhesive, of course you can die cut that and add your foil to it. So again, a really great way to foil without heat is using double-sided tape, and of course gets you a lot for your money. 1 roll of foil is quite inexpensive, and again, it goes a really long way. Now, Post-it notes are something you may already have around the house, but Post-it notes make great masking paper for images that are smaller than the Post-it note itself, so keep that in mind. Post-it notes can be a great alternative to buying masking paper, and for those of you that are beginners, there's a good chance you have this lying around the house anyway. Now, there are 2 really inexpensive things that save me a lot of tears in the craft room. I'm sure all of you can relate that when you're on the last and final step of your card, there's a good chance that you're going to mess something up because that's what happens. The mistakes rarely happen in the beginning, but when you're almost finished. Now, an adhesive remover is an amazing thing to use. If you're using adhesive that might dry shiny and it kind of, you get that glob of glue when you use too much glue that comes out the sides, this will clean that up. Just let it dry and then you can rub this away like an eraser. The second thing is this really amazing sandpaper eraser from Tombow. This is another great thing that if you happen to get yourself one of those light fingerprints from your inky fingers, you can actually get rid of it with this sandpaper eraser. Of course, if it's too deep, it is what it is. Cover it up and do some card surgery, maybe with a sequin or another image. but this does the trick on all the light colors. Now, for the longest time when I was card making, I was waitressing at the same time, and when I go teaching, I don't particularly like the fact that I have inky fingers at the end of the day. I have this craft scrubby from Ranger. This gets rid of inky fingers in absolutely no time, and I absolutely love it. It's a lifesaver. Now the next thing on my list is a craft pick. So whether you're going to use it to help place sequins or poke your dies through when they don't particularly come out of the die when it's finished die cutting, this is something that can be used for so many things. Making a hole in your cardstock, for example, when you want to add a brad or an eyelet. Do people use those anymore? I don't know, but if you have them, also useful. I just find this is really great to scratch things away, and I just use them all the time. Now personally for me, I have two. I think the retractable pick, because I'm quite clumsy, is probably better for the health and safety of everyone. Now, today's video is a collaboration with my friend Michelle. She creates the most amazing, clean, and simple cards, and she's going to be showing you her picks for inexpensive supplies that she has in her craft room. She also does great craft tour videos, so be sure to check her out, like, and subscribe. Now, she's going to talk about, I believe anyway, if everyone stuck to the plan, a white gel pen. Now, I have white gel pens too. I have one from Uniball Signo, and I have a jelly roll pen. And I would say I get pretty decent results. When it comes to gel pens, these are the two that I find work the best, but they still don't work 100% every time I need them. And that's why I've kind of given up on the gel pen, and I've invested in some Posca paint pens. There are a variety of sizes and nibs available, but this is a white paint pen. They come in a lot of different colors as well. And I just find it just a lot more reliable than using a gel pen, and it's permanent when dry. Now, alcohol inks are another thing that I really love to do. I love to create backgrounds with them, and they last me an amazingly long time. I have some from Ranger, I have some from Pinata, and I have some from Marabu, and all three of them are fantastic. And a special shout out to this Diamond Shine, which is just incredible. It is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen when it comes to alcohol inks, and I just saw it at Creative World this year and had to show you it. Okay, now here's one of those things that may be a little bit on the pricier side, but on a per-use basis and the value it brings to my craft room, this is important. I have this really fun Spellbinders Diamond, and you're probably thinking to yourself, what does this do? It's actually a magnet. It looks pretty on my desk, so it brings a little bit of something special to my desk, but it also is a place where I store my dies when I'm finished using them, and I'm not ready to quite clean up yet. So not only that, it saves me so much time if I happen to drop a die somewhere and I can't see it, because I used to have really dark carpet and I wasn't able to really see them because it was gray and my dies were gray. I just kind of go over my carpet quickly like this and find it. Now this is amazing because it keeps my dies in place, keeps me from losing them, because let's face it, those things are expensive. Now, before I reveal the last item, I just wanted to make a couple video recommendations, which I have below in the video description. For a lot of the supplies that you've seen in today's video, I have videos on how to use them in multiple ways, so I'll have them listed below. Now, the last item is definitely 100% on the expensive side, but on a per-use basis, this thing's worth it. I personally find that so many people are willing to buy a stamp set here and there, but they're not willing to spend the money on this item. And to me, it doesn't make sense, because that stamp, as I said before, I might use once, twice, maybe not at all, 10 times, 20 times. But this is the one thing, it will come up in every single video of mine. I use it every time I craft. It saves me time, it saves me energy, and it saves me from wasting a lot of paper and mistakes. And that is my MISTI stamping tool. Now, of course, it is around $60 and maybe out of the price range for many. But I have to say that saving your pennies is totally worth it. I can tell you every time I sit down to craft, I use this thing. So I think at a per use rate, I am less than a cent per use for my MISTI, because I have used this thing through thick and thin, and they usually last me years. And the only reason why I happen to replace mine every couple of years is more for video purposes, because it just starts to get kind of all mucky and full of ink and it doesn't come clean anymore. But of course, if you take care of yours properly with the proper cleaners, it definitely will. Thank you for watching today's video. I'm so happy you got to see my list of favorite things. If alcohol inks caught your interest, be sure to check out this video here on alcohol inks, and I also have a recommendation below in the video description on how to use those alcohol ink backgrounds and cards. Thanks for watching and have a wonderful start to your week. Bye for now.